showing as an example how you can use EnterLead for Salesforce to allow you to target. Then I've heard a comment out there about spray and pray from a sales perspective. And when we use business information in CRM, we can get very focused. What I'm looking at here is an image of a dashboard that we put together, and it's year-over-year SPUD comparisons, and we're looking at it by region. When we look at this top corner over here, what we see is it's just an analysis over a year on kind of when wells are spudded. And what we see is kind of from January 1 until April, really for about 40% all the wells that were spudded in that time frame last year, and the other 60% for the remaining of the year. If we carried this on, we'd see a spike up again. So what we do is we look at from Board Field Center all the different areas that are showing activity, and the things that we're looking for is areas that are maybe maintaining a certain robustness or have fallen off, because we want to be able to target our audience or target our market that we're looking for. So just a quick rule of thumb, we could say roughly this is about 500 wells. If we were on track, we should be seeing somewhere around 200 to 250 wells. So you're seeing a pretty significant softening in BC. And we look at all the different markets, about the same type of thing, even a little bit worse condition here in Grand Prairie. We might be trending around 600, let's say, and then we should be seeing closer to 300, and we're looking at 97. So we look at our different markets, say, is there a market here that looks more attractive than others? We look for high alarm markets or alert, 199 versus 10. We definitely want to stay out of the Lloydminster area from a productivity perspective. Kindersley, 800 versus 163, should be seeing closer to 400. When I look at this particular image here, this dashboard, one thing that's tweaking my interest is we've got St. Albert area at 197, 79. So in theory, if we stay with this trend, we should be able to see potentially St. Albert will be as busy this year as it was last year, versus every other market trending down. What I did is I clicked on this particular component, and it brought me to the report, and I just added one more filter, and I said, well, let's take a look at a comparison year over year, who's been drilling wells in this particular area, and say who should I be focusing. So the blue being 2015, the green being 2016, and I'm looking for greens that are trending at least 40%, so they're as active this year as they were last year. And in some potential cases, am I seeing greens exceeding the blue market? So quickly, just kind of alphabetically, I see an account here, Arcan Resources. I'm like, well, that's interesting. They're actually trending up. So I do a search in my CRM, and I bring up Arcan Resources, and we can go in, we can take a look at it. We see that they're a public company. In my CRM, I have the ticker symbol. I could go in and look at the stock report, but one area that's good resource when you have public companies is the BOE report. I click on the link to the BOE report, and again, when we're looking at the CRM, we're just trying to make your sales team more productive, and that's what EnterLead does too. So putting everything in from a market research into one area, so you're not going out and spending more time than you need to from a market research perspective. And then I see this Arcan enters an agreement with Aspen Leaf Energy, and I go in and read this, and I see that Aspen Leaf is actually going to buy it. So I'm looking at this and saying, well, that's interesting. I potentially don't want to be targeting Arcan because they're going through an acquisition, but I can come over here and search the CRM and bring up Aspen Leaf. Again, quick look, we could see that some of their activity, not a lot of activity here. Amount of employees pretty small, ticker symbol. They're not a public company. So instead of going to my BOE search, I'm going to come over to my Google search, and I'm going to take a look. And some of the things that I'm going to find here when I take a look at the Google search is I'm going to see here that an article from the Financial Post where Aspen Leaf Energy, if we go in and we take a closer look at this, we'll see things like a little bit of background on the acquisition. So it allows me to go in, drill down on it, and when I scan through the article, one of the things that comes up is ARC Financial Corp is funding Aspen Leaf, and I see who the CEO is of the company. I can then come back to my CRM. I've got the CEO in the system. I click on his name, and I've integrated LinkedIn directly into my CRM, and I can see he was the ex-president here of Athabasca Oil Corporation. So, you know, it tells me that this guy has a lot of stroke. He's been funded by Arc Financial, and he's in a serious acquisition mode up in that St. Albert area. And then I'm able to come back and say, hey, I've now identified a high value account. This company is well financed. They've got a good acquisition target. They know where they're looking at, and I have products and services in that side of it. So now I can come in and I can use something like my chatter feed and say, at Mr. Salesperson, please go out and talk to this particular company. So there's an example for you how we came in, targeted an area instead of the spray and pray. We identified a high value customer. We found out that they were being, or a high value area, that the customer was being acquired, and we found out who the key management team of the acquisition company is, and I've now put that in my sales strategy to go out and go after that account.